Who's gonna go? I guess
I'll do it.
Okay.
Hey, what are we talking about?
Toys. You dipshit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be another rando
Mishmash.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 32. I am Chad.
I'm Mike.
And the part of our collection we're going to be talking about today is a mishmash of stuff.
Yes.
So it's been like a month, almost a month, since we met last.
I'm just curious. I think that's the second time you've said that we're mishmash.
Yeah.
Is that just...
It's like a jumble.
Okay, so it's like a mishmash.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a mishmash. I don't... Is a mishmash a thing?
It is now.
Okay. So it's a mishmash or a mishmash of stuff.
We're talking about a variety of things.
Yeah, no specific stuff here because I've accumulated a whole bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done an episode, or even since we've hung out, I guess.
Yeah, I was busy with my dad. My dad came home from Toronto for 10 days. You had gone to Montreal for a concert, and then you went to the Dominican.
Yeah, I just had a double vacation, so that was pretty cool. I went to Montreal to see one of my all-time favorite bands, Placebo, which, if you don't know them, you should check them out. I actually did post a video on my channel of a little bit of footage that I got. Although, I don't know if you watched it. But
I did, yeah.
It's a little, like, I'm of two minds about it because, like, since I started this YouTube channel, it's kind of when I go to concerts, and I go to a decent amount of concerts, I do kind of like to film, not like the whole thing, I'm not like holding my phone up for 2 hours or anything, but I like to get a decent amount of footage to put a video up that other people that didn't get to go can enjoy, and also just as a reminder to myself, because there's so many concerts that I've seen in my life that I've just forgotten about. So I've been dying to see this band. They've been a favorite of mine for like 30 plus years. And we got there and they started the concert off with like a pre-recorded thing that says, please don't film this. And it wasn't like a rule. Like I've been to concerts where they take your phone and zip it in a bag and
they
stuff.
did that with me at Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I've been to a few concerts where they do that and you're like, okay, they're serious but not filming. Fair enough. But when they just kind of suggest it, you know, the pre-recording said like, we would ask that you don't watch the whole concert through your phone. We want you to live in the moment and all that sort of stuff. But then they came out and I started filming it and the security was like really intense because we were right, you know, I was only like 2 or 3 people back from the stage. So security was right in front of me and they were like pointing at me and they're like, get your phone down, get your phone down. So I barely got any footage of the concert. So if you do decide to check out my Placebo video, there's not a whole lot there, but it was a really cool show anyway. And then, then I went to the Dominican Republic. That was a much more chill vacation. Just a week of laying on the beach, reading books.
Yeah, having fun.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't do too much. I worked and looked at things I can't buy.
I don't know if I've mentioned it on the channel before. I've talked about it on my Instagram, but my work was on strike.
Yeah.
So our strike ended, which is good. Today, the day we're filming this, it's Monday, the 14th? Or
15th.
15th. This was my first day back to work because it's been 3 weeks since I worked because I had a strike and then 2 vacations. So I'm glad that the strike was over by the time I got back from vacation because I need money to continue to buy these things.
Yeah, support the habit.
Yeah. So what do we want to do? You've got a guy in your hand right now. Do you want to talk about him first off?
Yeah, sure. So, like, I don't know if everyone's been following along so far.
Probably not.
I'm a big DC Multiverse McFarlane collector, and
at least you were.
I was, yes. So I got really McFarlaned out because he was putting out way too many toys, like sometimes like 3 a day, different announcements, and I wanted to be a completionist when it started, but the rate he was putting them out, there's no way to sustain that. Yeah. So I stopped, and then I noticed around December when I started opening some of them. They had all been in boxes until then. The quality wasn't what McFarlane used to be, and I noticed that some of the pieces were kind of cheap, and like the ankle joints didn't rotate properly, and there's like shoulder problems with some of them. And there's a Facebook group I follow, and a lot of people were complaining about receiving parts that were broken.
Yeah.
like in the box. So like an arm was off even before they got it. And of course with the packaging and everything, you can't really tell because it's in there kind of loose, but some of them got damaged when they took them out or whatever. Anyways, I wasn't impressed with the quality.
Took a break.
So I took a break from McFarlane, and this is actually one of the figures I was excited to get because I don't have an official Jay Garrick in my collection. So I'm actually impressed with this figure. The one thing that does kind of annoy me, though, is the little wings on his helmet.
Yeah. How are they?
One's bigger than the other. It's like soft plastic. And I tried to even them out because you know how sometimes they misshape themselves. But it's not even like on there straight.
So are they separate pieces?
Yeah, they're separate. Like they're melted onto the hat.
I see them.
Helmet.
So for people that don't know who this dude is, you want to tell them?
He's the original Flash, Jay Garrick.
Yep, so like the Flash that most people know, the guy who's going to be in the movie that's coming out very soon, in all red with the red mask. He had the TV shows and all that stuff. So that guy came around in like the late 60s, the Silver Age.
60s, I think. Yeah.
And this guy's been around since what, like the 40s?
40s, yeah.
Yeah. So he's cool.
He's a pretty solid figure. Quite stiff, which I think I like because some of the other ones, they're super loose. And like the joints, they're really nice. So I think they might have started to fix some of those problems, but I'm not willing to jump back in full swing right now.
Yeah. I was actually at GameStop the other day and I saw the Gladiator Batman figure that we had talked about previously because I bought the Gladiator Warworld Superman, which I thought was cool looking. He looks like Superman, like he's from the movie The 300 or something. And so they did a kind of a Batman and all chainmail that I thought might be cool to display them together. But I saw them and I was just like they don't really match.
No.
Like, yeah. And there's that new Batman for the Fighting the Frozen or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like kind of dressed like a caveman a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually thought he might go better with my Warworld Superman. So who knows? Maybe I would consider him. But yeah, this guy's cool. I don't have any attachment to this character, like, but I think it looks good. It looks very classic. It kind of looks like a what's that dude? The painting guy, Alex Ross. It kind of looks like an Alex Ross version.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
but yeah, so he was my first McFarlane purchase since December. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with him.
Cool. Did he come in with any lightning effects or anything to attach?
He did. I just, I can send you the Instagram stuff so you can splice it in for everyone. But yeah, he had like arm ones and leg ones and
yeah, like I have a Barry Allen Flash. Yeah, all this, probably all the same stuff.
It's just too obnoxious to
yeah. Like if you've got them displayed in a running pose,
I did try, and then I was like, "There's no way that's going to take up like valuable space on my shelves." So
yeah,
he can just stand and.
Alright, so I told you to bring your new stuff. That's the only guy you brought.
Yeah.
But you have a little list of other things you got recently?
I do. So you've reviewed these all on your channel. So I didn't want to bring them.
So yeah, if any of these sound interesting, just go find the old videos where we talked about them when I bought them.
So since we last filmed, I have acquired 6 G.I. Joe classifieds.
So do you know how many you've got in your collection now?
I was trying to think of this, and there's like 17 standing on my table, and then probably like I'm in between 25 and 30.
So it's grown quick.
Yeah. So I got the Crimson Twins, Tomax and Zaymont.
Yep, those guys are cool.
I got Lady J.
And you got the version 1, not the retro card. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got Destro, so...
And you did get the retro card.
I got the retro one with the eyebrows.
Okay.
I got a Dusty.
Cool.
I got... Well, Jay Garrick. Well, that's not G.I. Joe classified.
Yeah.
And Flint, but Flint hasn't shown up yet. Okay. I ordered him from
Amazon?
Walmart, actually. So that's what I had. Like,
yeah.
I was guns blazing in April. And,
cool.
Yeah. been on a little bit of a
But
hiatus.
G.I. Joe is probably my favorite line to collect right now. I do have one G.I. Joe to talk about today.
Exciting.
So maybe I'll just jump to him first.
Sure.
Now, so this is Storm Shadow.
Oh, you got him.
But this is the standard Storm. This is the one you have, I think.
Yeah.
So this is Storm Shadow. This was the kind of the default Storm Shadow that came out a couple of months ago, and he looks pretty good. But the thing is, they have, he came in a box.
Yeah.
But now they have these like the retro carded figures that we were just talking about. So you got the Destro on the retro card. So these guys come on big old blister cards that look like the old packaging from the 80s with the explosion and the character specific artwork. So they're Walmart exclusives, and they're not very easy to find around here. You usually have to order them online. So we've previously got the Snake Eyes not too long ago, the Crimson Guard,
Yep.
Destro, Baroness, Gung Ho. I didn't get the Lady J one because I haven't seen it anywhere yet. Same as there's a Zartan one that I think just is coming out now, which I would probably buy if I could find them, but I haven't seen them yet. Anyway, Storm Shadow here. He is not a Walmart exclusive. He was exclusive to Hasbro's Pulse's website.
Yes.
So I had to order him from Hasbro. He did sell out very quickly when he went up. And I don't know if he's been restocked on it. That was months ago, like several months ago he went up. And so I bought him kind of just impulsively because that's how I do things. I'm like, oh, he's up. I got to buy him. And, he was at a premium price. And then since I'm only ordering one figure because I couldn't bundle him with anything because he was a pre-order and they didn't really have a solid release date. And so with the shipping and the conversion, like the new Storm Shadow probably cost me upwards of $60. So I've got him here, just buried under some stuff. And I don't think he's worth $60-something to me. Like, I don't necessarily regret buying him. That money is spent. But
so what's the difference? Just the gloved hands, right?
well, that's the main difference. Like, when you see that artwork, that's basically the same artwork that was on the Storm Shadow figure in 1984 when he first came out. And the figure matched the artwork. So you'll notice he has bare hands with just white wrappings around his forearms there. But then the figure that we got in the classified line, he's got gloves hand, and he's got kind of like armor pieces on his forearms rather than just tape. So this one here, and again, I'll probably do a side-by-side. I'll have to cut it in or something. But basically, he's got the bare hands. I'd say his skin tone is a little darker, bit of a darker complexion. His outfit, I think, is a little starker white.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely.
The accessories are a little different. Like, you'll notice this guy's got red arrows in his quiver. That guy's got white arrows.
Does he have the Cobra logo? Is that just being hidden by the...
Yeah, he's got the Cobra logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's because his sash fits differently. But I don't know. Probably when I plug in the backpack, it probably forces it up. So yeah, considering what it is, and it also doesn't... Like, this... You might expect it from Walmart, because Walmart doesn't package their stuff very good. But this is directly from Hasbro, the collector's website, and they still stuck it in a box that wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
So it was warped. Every one of these retro carded figures that I have, because I still have my Destro and my Baroness carded. The cards are all bent or folded. So it's very hard to get these things in like mint condition, especially if you order directly from Hasbro, the source, and they still bend it before they send it to you. So I don't even know if I'm going to open him up for sure, because I kind of feel the same way about him as I did with the Baroness. Like, it's an improvement, but it's such a slight, minor, like, I don't know if I really need these guys on my shelf together. Like, I kind of feel like he might look better pinned up on the wall somewhere. Like, I don't know. I might change my mind about it, because I hummed and hawed about even the Snake Eyes. I wasn't sure if I was going to open him, but I did. And I opened my Gung Ho and everything, so it's not like I'm trying to keep all my retro carded figures carded. But, when the differences are so subtle, I don't know.
No, I will say that your card came out nicer than my Destro.
Yeah. But was he from Amazon? Or
he was from Amazon, but he cost me $76 because he was shipped from Phoenix.
Yeah, so that's crazy.
So it was all like mangled, and it was not pretty.
Yeah. So, yeah, here, lean in closer here, because rather than cut away for additional footage, I'll splice some in. Here, maybe we need to get center there. So I'll cut in some footage of him, so hopefully you can still see both of us. and Storm Shadow here. I don't know if I will have opened him by the time I do that, so maybe you're just seeing him in the package close up. But yeah, anyway, cool figure. But if I saw him in Walmart for $65, I would not buy him.
No.
So, and it seems if I could have got him on Hasbro's site and bundled him with other things so I could, like, even out the shipping and stuff.
Would have been a little more worth it.
But yeah, just for this one-off. So even though I think there's, like, the Zartan here, you notice he's got, like, bluer armor than the previous one. So I would like to get that retro-carded Zartan. But I'll buy him if I see him at Walmart or something. But yeah, I'm not dropping $65 on him. All right. Next thing?
Sure.
I do have one other G.I. Joe thing. I've seen these around before, but I saw them the other day in Walmart and I picked it up. It's a little set of G.I. Joe vehicles. I think this thing was $7.99. And they're like die-cast metal.
Yep.
And so you get the Cobra Hiss tank, which is my favorite, probably the most iconic G.I. Joe vehicle. So that's like a Cobra vehicle. And then you've got the Snowcat and the Vamp, which are also well-known G.I. Joe vehicles. It's kind of funny that they put a picture of the Oz Striker on the packaging rather than... Anyway, my brother's calling. I feel it vibrating in my pocket, so let's take 5. If I can get to it in time. Hello? What's up? Oh, nothing. We're just filming an episode here.
Oh, sorry.
You're a guest on the show now.
What?
You're a guest on the show.
Oh, great.
Say hi to all the viewers, Doug.
Yo. Okay, I'm going to get groceries.
Okay.
I need to run into Saxon.
Alright, so you're coming what?
What?
So you're coming to get your comic books?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I come after I'm done shopping so your episode's over?
Whatever is easier for you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, alright, well, I'll probably go on my way then, just so I don't have cold stuff sitting in the car.
Alright, so that means I'll see you in like 15 or 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, cool.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Alright. So anyway, I don't know if I have anything more to say about these things. You got any thoughts?
Kind of cool. Like, they have some weight, so
yeah,
it's nice. Are you going to keep them in the package?
I probably not. I thought about it because like I don't really collect dinky cars.
Yeah,
and I'm not really a vehicle guy. Even for my G.I. Joe figures, all the vehicles are tucked away in bins. I do have a couple of dinky cars. You'll notice pinned up on my wall here. I've got the Anchorman van. I've got the Beatles yellow submarine. So I kept them in their packaging, put them all. So I could do this, but what I was kind of thinking when I saw these things is they're kind of the perfect size to display next to like a Godzilla figure or something. So I've got little mini, because they're smaller than a usual dinky car. They're like micro machines almost. So yeah, I think they'd look good displayed next to a Godzilla.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Now speaking of Godzilla, maybe I'll talk about him next.
Sure. What'd you get?
Well, a while ago I got the Godzilla Funko Pop.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge Funko Pop guy, even though I have hundreds of them. But it's a collection that I've kind of... My excitement has definitely decreased. I'm being very specific when I buy Funko Pops nowadays. Usually I want to buy brands that I'm not getting in other toy lines. Like I don't need a Transformer Funko Pop because I have a Transformer already over here. But when it's like a one-off thing, like a band or a musician, like I got the Green Day Funko Pops recently. Because I'm not going to get a Green Day action figure. So with Godzilla... this is one because I have a lot of Godzilla figures, so arguably I didn't need the Funko Pop. But I think this Funko Pop actually looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like most Funko Pops look silly. They don't really look like the character because, they don't have facial features. They don't have mouths and stuff. But this here just looks like a really cool sculpted Godzilla figure. And the head is actually proportionate because I think the biggest critique people have about the new Godzilla design is that his head's so small. He's got this little teeny head on his big body. So when they blow up his head to be almost like a bobblehead, it actually looks proportionate. I actually think he looks great. So I got this guy a while ago. Love this thing. Now, I went to... I've talked before, my comic shop locally that I go to is Strange Adventures. And they have a shop in Halifax, which is where I go every week to get my comic books. But they have a sister store across the bridge in Dartmouth. I don't really go over to Dartmouth very much. That's kind of where they send their discount stuff. So if something isn't selling in Halifax, they ship it over to Halifax or to Dartmouth, and they sell it for half price and stuff. So every now and again, I get kind of annoyed because I'll see something on Instagram that I wanted at Halifax, but I was like, I don't know if I can pull the trigger at that price. And then all of a sudden, I see it for half off. Anyway, I was looking at Strange Adventures Dartmouth Instagram the other day, and they had the Dracula Bela Lugosi NECA figure, which is something that I've been talking to you about, that I want to buy more of those NECA Universal Monsters. But they're like $60. And I'm like, well, man, for $30, I would absolutely buy them. And they also had the Crow 112 figure from Mezco.
Okay.
So these guys are like, we previously reviewed the Batman that you have. But they're like 6-inch dolls. They have like cloth clothing and stuff. They're very highly detailed. And this Crow figure, the Crow is my all-time favorite movie. I already have the Hot Toys Crow, which is the very detailed 12-inch. And the 6-inch one came out earlier this year, and I was like, I don't know if I can justify the $125 to get them. Anyway, Strange Adventures put them up on their Dartmouth location for $50. And I don't even remember seeing them at the Halifax location. I'm like, what? So I went over there the next day, and I was like, please tell me you still have that Crow. Nope, he's gone. I'm like, do you have Dracula? Nope, he's gone. And I was like, God, and I was like, what prompts, these things to go over there for half price? Because, I would have paid 75% of the price, Anyway, I guess they buy a fair amount of, mystery boxes, dinged up packages and stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's not necessarily that they had this Crow sitting at their Halifax store for ages. They didn't. They got it in one of the defective boxes, so the corner was probably crunched in on the box, which I wouldn't have cared about. But still, so they just ship it over to Dartmouth. So I was a little slow. But anyway, all that to say, so I went over to Dartmouth, where all the toys are 50% off, and I bought this guy.
Jesus.
So this is a Godzilla Funko Pop. He's the jumbo size. I don't know if you've seen them before. You probably have.
I have. I had a couple Overwatch ones.
But yeah, the box on these things is huge. So I wouldn't have bought it if it was just like anything else. I don't need a big Spider-Man or anything. But Godzilla, he's a character that lends himself to being big. And it's actually, I thought it was going to be just the exact toy just blown up.
It's different.
It's different. He's facing a different way, so his tail's wrapped around him. And this guy's got an open, kind of roaring mouth, where this guy doesn't. Anyway, I thought he was pretty awesome. And he was normally $60, but he was down to $30. And I thought, yeah, for $30, this guy looked pretty awesome sitting on my desk.
Doesn't even feel like a Funko.
Yeah. And see, now, just imagine him next to with all these little tanks and everything next to him. It works out great.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Those poor G.I. Joe vehicles.
So the other thing I bought when I was over in Strange Adventures was Invincible and his girlfriend Adam Eve. Now, are you an Invincible fan at all?
I know of it. I haven't watched it.
Well, I watched it and I thought it was good. But more than that, I'm a fan of the comic book series. I've been on board with it almost since the very beginning. I have every issue of it. It's over now. The run is concluded. But it was a really, really great comic book. I would suggest you read it if you haven't. And the animation's a pretty faithful adaptation. They've changed a few things. These figures are based on the animated look, which is pretty close to the comic book. But I think it's more noticeable on Adam Eve that she's got the animated look. I kind of would have preferred her to look more like the comic book version. But, yeah. These figures came out, I think, late last year. There was 2 figures in Wave 1. It was Invincible and his dad, Omni-Man. And then Wave 2 had Adam, Eve, and Robot. And there's a 3rd wave that's coming out now. But I considered buying them. But they're 7 inches, which means they're to scale more with like the McFarlane guys. And he's a teenager, so that's why he's a little bit shorter. But he's at that scale. But he wouldn't scale with most other 6-inch figures. Like, he's too tall. And that just kind of drives me crazy a little bit. I wish they were scaled at 6 inches. And that was probably the defining reason why I didn't buy them. Plus, this line has the potential to go really deep. There's a lot of characters in the Invincible universe, and I really didn't want to fall into another line.
What platform is that on?
I think it's Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, could be wrong. But Anyway, so these figures were normally, I think, $30 as well. So I passed on them, but when I saw them for $15, and they didn't have Omni-Man there, but they had Invincible, Eve, and Robot. So I passed on Robot, even though that's a pretty good price on him, but I'm like, I don't want to go all in on this line. And if they had only had, even though I think Eve is a great character, she would be kind of a weird orphan on my shelf if I just bought her, and I wouldn't have bought her. But the fact that they had one Invincible, the star of the show, the hero, I was kind of surprised that he was over there. And I don't even think the boxes were noticeably dinged up or anything, but anyway, so those guys are cool. They came with a whole bunch of accessories, like extra hands and gloves and blast effects. He even came with this big piece of concrete with some like rebar poking out of it there.
That's cool.
That's a cool accessory if you make little dioramas. You could have the Hulk holding this or something. And they also both came with clear flight stands, so you can display them, flying.
Dynamic poses. There we go.
Yeah.
Frog in my throat, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. I caught a cold down in the Dominican somehow.
I've still had this nagging cough for like 3 years.
Okay, so speaking of flight stands, I bought a DC Multiverse figure from McFarlane Toys. Now, this is a figure that we previously reviewed when you bought it, so we won't waste a bunch of time talking about it. But this is Speeding Bullets Batman, which is based on a comic book from the 80s, the 90s, which I've never read. It's one of DC's Elseworld stories, kind of like a what-if tale, where basically what if Superman became Batman. That's why he has the kind of Superman-shaped crest on his chest. And without having read the book, I can't explain why does he have a full face mask? Like, I don't know what about that makes him Superman. Like, I commented when you brought this over the first time, I was like, why doesn't he have like a red cowl and cape? That would make him a little bit more unique. I kind of just don't get it. Maybe the storyline explains it. But despite not getting it, it's cool looking.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I
love the tattered cape.
Tattered cape, the full face mask. And he comes with a flight stand, so you can pose him kind of doing the Superman. And, I got him for cheap too, so why not? Just carry on?
Absolutely.
So whenever I'm away on vacation, I always try and find toys to buy.
Yeah.
I didn't find anything in the Dominican. Surprise, surprise. I was looking. They actually had some action figures on the resort, but they were just like really cheapy. Like kind of if you go to Walmart, you find like the $10 figures and stuff that don't have much articulation. So they were selling those for like $20 American or something, which would have been equivalent of like 25 to 30 Canadian. Crazy. I was hoping to find some junky knockoff toy, but I probably would have had to venture off the resort to find those. I wasn't willing to go off the resort this time around. Anyway, so nothing in the Dominican. When I went to Montreal, I did go to a couple of different comic shops up there. I only got one toy. I bought a couple of comic books. I was able to get some of the Transformers I needed for my IDW run. Anyway, I picked up Firestar. I got her at a GameStop, actually. She was on sale as well for like $10, down from the usual like 20. And so, yeah, this is just another one of those Marvel retro, which I've been accumulating a lot of. I don't know if we talked about it, but this line is officially on hiatus now. Yeah,
you were saying the last time we hung out, which would have been when we went to see...
No, we didn't see
Sisu.
Sisu, yeah. I don't know if we're going to talk about movies on here. Maybe we'll talk about Guardians later. But yeah, we saw the movie Sisu. If you haven't seen that, that was fucking awesome. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah, it was great. Anyway, yeah, so I got Firestar. It's too bad that this line is kind of winding down. Hasbro has said they might revisit it later. I don't know if they actually will or not. I think they managed to get about 50 different characters. So that's a nice little collection to build, but at the same time, as far as the Marvel Universe goes, it's pretty small scale. Like, I have hundreds of different Marvel Legends characters in the 6-inch. So even if I completed this line of 50, it's just like, it's missing so many key characters that, I don't know. Anyway, I wish it was still going, but that'll save me a little bit of money in the long run. So I didn't tell you about these guys yet, but I went to GameStop the other day, and they had the new wave of DC Superpowers figures. So I don't know if you've seen these guys around.
I have, yeah.
So there was 3 figures in this wave. Wonder Woman, who they actually did not have. Nightwing, and Deathstroke. So we've talked about these before, but if you're not familiar, they're still by McFarlane and everything. The same guy that does these bigger detailed ones. But these guys are made to look like the 80s superpower figures, right down to the packaging, the style of figures. Some of them are essentially remakes of the old toys from the 80s. But what's cool that McFarlane's doing is he's adding characters to the Superpowers line that were never in the vintage Superpowers line. And both of these guys fall into that category. So if you were a collector from the 80s that has like a full collection of Superpowers, which there's a lot of those collectors out there, it's pretty cool to be able to buy new characters that can kind of seamlessly fit in with your collection. So I probably won't open these guys up because I haven't opened up any of my Superpowers ones yet. They're all pinned on the wall. But as I get more and more of them, I might be more tempted to open them up because I don't want them to take up my entire wall. I just don't really know where I'm going to display them. I don't have any shelf space anywhere. But they're cool. And I did mention to you that I don't think it shows on the back of the packaging, but the Wonder Woman figure they're making in her invisible airplane.
Yeah, that's strange.
So I kind of want to get the invisible airplane. It's just so silly.
How do you know what's in the package?
Actually, to be fair, the toy's a little disappointing because when you first saw an angle of it, it looked kind of cool coming at you.
Yeah.
But then when you see it from the side, it's almost like a little smushed, little deformed plane. It looks kind of goofy, like something that would be on a fair ride, like a carousel or something. So I don't know. When I see it in store, if it's like $45 or something like the other vehicles are, I'll pass. But if it's $25, sure. So at that same visit to GameStop, I picked up Ninja Spawn. Now, this is one that's been out for a while. I passed on it initially because it is not one of the Spawns that really speak to me. But I am really enjoying the Spawn comic book these days. And when these characters came out in the 90s, back when Spawn toys first became popular, and he was making, Pirate Spawn, Ninja Spawn, they almost just seemed like Spawn in different outfits, and they didn't really seem to, matter. But now, in the current storyline, all the different Spawns from all the different eras of time are all, in one timeline, and they're all, And so they've become, unique characters. And I don't think Ninja Spawn has been heavily featured in the comic book yet, but he was on sale, and I thought, it's a decent-looking figure, it's cheap, and I don't want to pass on this guy, and then, a couple of months down the road, they give him a really cool storyline in the comic book, and I'll be like, why didn't I buy him when I had the chance?
Ninjas are my thing, so I think he's super cool. And I'm impressed, this is going to sound nerdy to, other people, but I'm impressed with the flying sidekick on the back, because they have all the pose down correctly.
Yeah, it had a bit of a glare there when you held him up, but...
His leg is tucked in and both his arms are in the guard position, so that's kind of cool.
Okay.
I have a second-degree black belt, so that just,
Yeah, so he's alright. I've got a couple more Spawn figures in my pile of loot at Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll be adding to this collection soon. But yeah, thought he was kind of cool. Couple other randos. This guy here I'm not going to really talk about too much because I'm going to talk about him in one of my upcoming Masters of the Universe Origins episodes, which I've been talking about doing for months. I've got toys from 2022 that I still haven't reviewed yet. But anyway, I got another one of the mail order figures. So you had to buy them from MattyCollector.com. So this is Wondar, the Wonder Bread He-Man. Do you know anything about him?
No.
Alright, well, I won't get into it now because, like I said, I haven't even opened him up yet. I'm going to review him in a separate episode because I've got all kinds of Masters of the Universe figures I'm going to just kind of cover all at once. So we'll talk about Wondar then. But yeah, Wonder Bread He-Man. There you go. Yeah. Now, the package describes him as the Savage He-Man, not the Wonder Bread He-Man. But anyway.
I just see him as a mashup of Arnold and Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah. I do have a couple more Marvel Legends. In my last episode that I did without you, I tried to get all my Marvel Legends just reviewed and be like, I just want to be done with them so I could put them away. Anyway, I've got a couple of new ones since. So I got the 2-pack with Dr. Spectrum and Hyperion. Do you know these guys?
No.
So these guys have been around since the 70s, I guess. And they were introduced as kind of Marvel's take on the Justice League. So they were called the Squadron Sinister at first, and they were like evil versions of, this is the Green Lantern. He has like a diamond that he uses that powers him, and then he can make kind of light, you know, what do you call it, constructs and stuff. And then Hyperion is pretty obviously Superman. He's the big strong guy, powered by the sun, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, just mimics all Superman's powers. Now, they've had kind of a checkered history. It's kind of confusing if you try and follow, because they keep getting reintroduced, and they went from the Squadron Sinister to the Squadron Supreme, and when they show up, it's not always the same versions of themselves, because they're supposed to come from an alternate universe. So there have been heroic versions and evil versions, and they've been featured quite recently in the current Avengers run by Jason Aaron. Okay. But these versions that Jason Aaron is writing are like a whole new version than what we hadn't seen before. Anyway, I like Dr. Spectrum. I think he's kind of fun looking.
He's fun looking, but I think I like Hyperion a lot better.
Yeah,
These are D-list guys, right?
Yeah, like they've never really maintained their own book. I think at most they've had like a 12-issue run. It's kind of like, because even DC has their own version of these guys almost, because they've got their, what are they called, like with that evil Superman with the U on his chest.
Oh God!
But those guys are like the evil version of the Justice League from the Dark Dimension or some stupid shit.
I'm a terrible DC fan because I don't know a lot about the older stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's what these guys kind of are. It gave the Marvel an excuse to let the Avengers basically kick the Justice League's ass. But these characters have gone on, and like their version of Batman, Nightwing, he went on to become a member of the Defenders team, and he kind of became a character, you know, in and of himself. The version of the Flash was the Wizard, but he later changed his name to Speed Demon, and he became just a regular Spider-Man villain, so they kind of got away from him being the Flash. So these characters have had kind of, like I said, they're a weird history.
Flashing people while he's taking a wizard.
Yeah, their names are a little stupid. Hyperion, they've made figures of him in the past. I have one of him in the 3 3/4 inch scale, and there was previously a Marvel Legends of him. I'm glad I didn't get the previous one, because I think this one is better in pretty much every way. The other version had like a cape that just slung over one shoulder, which is a look he does sometimes, but I don't like it. He also doesn't always wear this little domino mask. I prefer him with the little domino mask on his face. So,
I thought that was just makeup.
No, so the previous version did not have a mask. So yeah, I like this guy better. And as for Dr. Spectrum here, I don't think he's ever had an action figure in any format. So, it's pretty cool. And I do have a Nightwing. He was released years ago. So, I now have 3 members of the Squadron Supreme.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, not bad. And then the other one I got, the other Marvel Legend, is Ronan the Accuser. So, this is one of the big cosmic bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, not too long ago, I got Terrax the Tamer, which was another big cosmic guy with a big axe. Now this guy has a big hammer. This guy would have been probably obscure to most people, except for the fact that he appeared in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He was the main villain there.
Yes.
And I was tempted to buy, because they put out a figure of the MCU version of Ronan, but I just didn't, he wasn't big enough. He didn't look like Ronan. He wasn't the right colors. He was wearing all gray like he was in the movie. Ronan has always been green. So, yeah, I was holding out hope that they would make a comic book version, and they have.
I think Brother Doug's up
there. We're going to take a little break because my brother is here to pick up his comic books. Okay.
We're back. My hammer's bigger.
Your hammer is bigger than Ronan's? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope so, considering he's only 6 inches tall.
That backfired. Yeah.
But, yeah, so he's a cool figure. This guy does look like the comic book version of Ronan. Yeah. He, if anything, he feels almost like maybe a little too big. Because I never pictured Ronan like to be Hulk-sized or anything. And this guy, when you look at him, say, compared to a normal-sized Marvel Legend guy, like he's a full, like, head taller or so. Maybe even more than that. So it's not too bad, but sometimes I feel they can maybe oversize guys a little bit too much.
That's such a badass name, though. Ronan the Accuser.
Yeah, he's cool. His shoulder pads are a little wonky. You might have just
I can
noticed.
see that. That drives...
Yeah, there's a little peg in the front and the back on the shoulder pad, so if you lift his arm up, the shoulder pad kind of pops out of place. So, yeah. And he was... I think I've got his packaging here. Like, it came in a bigger box, so he's, a deluxe price, of course. Even though there's nothing particularly deluxe about him. Like, he only comes with one accessory. They could have given you some extra hands or something. Maybe some blast effects for his hammer crashing down or something. But yeah, nope. They just give you his regular stuff. He's a little bit bigger than your average figure, so they charge you premium price. And while we're talking boxes, this is also the box for the Suicide Squad guys. So this is what we're dealing with the sealed packaging. But that's coming to an end. Have you heard that?
No.
Hasbro is moving away from the windowless packaging. This has been a big controversy in the toy community for the past year, 6 months or so, whatever.
That is in line with their sustainability efforts. What is happening with the packaging now?
Well, they're not selling as many toys. I'm guessing. I don't have any inside information, but there have been... I have seen that they are officially going back to the windowed packaging, but I forget whatever mumbo jumbo reason they probably gave. Like, in line with collectors, we've heard your feedback or something. But, if they were honestly doing this for, sustainability, they don't want to...
That's what it says on their website.
For environmental purposes.
Trigger people.
Yeah, but the bottom line is the most important thing to them, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if their toys sales are plummeting, because there are a lot of collectors, I'm not one of them, but got really bent out of shape and would just stop buying toys because they couldn't see the toy they were buying.
You don't want to get a derp face.
Yeah, and even a lot of people like to display them in the box. Now, if you bought this box, how do you even know there's toys in there? Like, you want to see the toys through the window in the front. So I get it. If I was an in-toy or an in-box collector, I would be annoyed too. But I do open my stuff.
So will that be across all Hasbro lines for like G.I. Joe too?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, that's unfortunate because I think the G.I. Joe boxes were really nice.
They are. And hopefully they still do like some nice artwork down the sides and stuff. But I think I do ultimately prefer the open box too. For that reason, like I do like if there's 3 versions of a G.I. Joe on shelf, I like to get the one that's got like...
The best face.
Doesn't have cross eyes or anything like that.
No paint missing on the arms. With black dots.
Yeah. Now we have talked about, speaking of G.I. Joe and their face paint, Lieutenant Falcon, I was thinking this when you mentioned you got Dusty. Because both Lieutenant Falcon and Dusty have very red lips.
Yeah.
It's a little distracting.
Yeah. So distracting.
So I saw somebody on Facebook or something that I think maybe took like a magic eraser and kind of cleared their lips off. And it actually looked better. I don't know if I'm willing to risk damaging my figure.
You're lucky it would not turn out.
Yeah, but like even if the lip color was completely gone, it just went to flesh colored. Like that's what all the vintage G.I. Joes look like. They never had colored lips. So I would probably prefer to rub them off completely than to have the red lips they have. But I'm still not somebody that likes to really tinker with my toys too much. I'd be worried I'd like rub the skin tone off his face and he had a big white smudge across his... I don't know. Anyway, you got anything more on Ronan or anything?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, I think probably the last toys that I have to talk about is it was Mother's Day yesterday.
Yes.
Me and my sister took my mom out. We went to Wolfville, which is out in the valley. It's about an hour or so from here.
Did you go to the Luckett Vineyard?
We went to a vineyard. It wasn't Luckett though. It was
Benjamin Bridge.
Nope. I forget what it was called.
I'm running out of wine. Nova 7.
No. If you really want to...
No, it's
my phone. I took a picture. I'll put a picture in here. We went to whatever vineyard. And it was nice. I got a pizza. We drank a bottle of wine. And my sister was the designated driver. This was her idea, but she drove us out there. And so me and my mom basically split a bottle of wine. We got a nice little buzz on. And then we went to the church brewing.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a brewery. Yep. It was a church that they've converted into a pub. And so that's really cool because you still like some stained glass and everything while you're in there. So we went there. I got like a little flight of beers there. So a good day out. But what I wasn't expecting is they have a comic book store out there. Did you know that?
In Wolfville?
Yeah. And apparently it's been there forever. I told my brother about it yesterday, and he was like, yeah, that's been there. I've been there a few times. It's called Rainbow Room or something or other. And it's kind of a mishmash of stuff, if you will. You go in there, and it's kind of like this old dusty place. They've got like a ton of DVDs and old novels and stuff, and they're all stacked on top of each other. So like a DVD and a book, and you're like, oh, geez, this place is completely, like, it's a mess. I could have spent hours in there probably rooting around. Yeah, Rainbow and Books and Discs, I guess that's what it was called.
You also said mishmash.
I know, I did. Well, I did that. I accentuated when I said mishmash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I felt bad because I had my drunken mom and my sister in tow, so I wasn't going to like make them wait an hour while I rooted through. But I did find some comic books. So, I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, I probably have, but like, I've been trying to complete my runs of IDW's G.I. Joe and Transformers series, because those were both series that I was collecting in trade paperback, so the soft covers. So you usually have to wait for them to, 6 issues come out, and then they collect it in a soft cover. So I've been collecting them for soft covers for years. But at the end of 2022, IDW lost the licensing rights to do G.I. Joe and Transformers comic books, and they didn't end up putting out a final collection for the last run of issues. So I was left high and dry. I have all these collections of G.I. Joe, and then all of a sudden I'm missing the last 15 issues. With Transformers, it was much worse. There was about 60. So I've been chasing down all these Transformer comic books and all these G.I. Joe comic books. Anyway, I got the last G.I. Joe comic book I needed. So I've got that the last...
300. All 300.
Yeah. Now, most of it's in trade paperback format, but I have the last 15 issues, annoyingly, in single issue format. But at least I have them, and I can finally read them now. And same as with Transformers. I found 2 of the issues I need. So I'm down. I went from a couple months ago, I needed 60. Now I'm down to needing 4. So I put a little dent in there. I also bought one of their dusty old DVDs. I bought the movie Romper Stomper, which is a Russell Crowe when he's a skinhead.
Yes.
Good flick. I haven't seen it for a long time, so I thought, yeah, I'll grab that.
That was like mid-90s, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay.
It was like an Australian film, like before he was
just
big in America.
Just before Gladiator.
Yeah, or I think it was a couple of, because it was LA Confidential was kind of the first one I think he was in.
Okay.
Gladiator was like 2000. So yeah, it was probably a few years before that, but anyway, good flick. I haven't watched it in decades though, so who knows? Maybe I'll put it in and I'll be like, oh, this sucks. But I remember it being good, and it was only $2.99 for the DVD.
What was their toy selection like? Did they have toys?
They did have toys, which is what I'm getting to. Okay. It wasn't great. They had a lot of random stuff. Like some of the stuff was like say a Spawn toy still in the packaging from like the 90s. It's like that's probably been sitting there since the 90s. Like it's that kind of store. And then they had a few other random stuff, but yeah, they didn't have like an aisle devoted to just toys. So what I ended up getting was another Funko Pop. I got the Cthulhu Funko Pop. So, if you know Cthulhu, then you know, I guess. But I do have a thing for big old monsters. This guy is a big old monster, so technically he would probably be to scale with like my little Godzilla here. These guys are, just big lumbering brutes. And he's cool.
What has 132 teeth and holds back a monster? My zipper.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But, hopefully your monster does not look anything like Cthulhu.
No.
Because that would be problematic. Anyway, and the last thing I bought, so we were just talking about this. So the funny thing is, so my brother Doug, he called and interrupted the show because he wanted to come by and pick up his comic books, because every week I go to the comic book store and I buy his comic books for him, and then he just swings by whenever and grabs them. So he just came by the door, which is why we had to pause the second time, so we could pick up his comic books. And I had to show him this figure, so you kind of got a preemptive look at this. But when me and Doug were kids, we had a bunch of these figures. These are called Fisher-Price Adventure People. Yeah. And they were just like civilian characters doing everyday things. So this particular guy, he's a pilot, and there were 2 guys. There was a white guy and a black guy. I owned the black guy, Doug owned... That doesn't sound good. But I had the black guy, Doug had the white guy. And they came with a rescue chopper with a little raft at the bottom. So you could click a button on the helicopter and the blade would spin. And I think there was another button you could click, and the clamp would open and drop the safety raft and stuff. And we loved these guys. And Now, I don't know if you can tell here, but this guy, he used to have an all-yellow jumpsuit. And I thought it'd be cooler if he had blue jeans on. So I took a marker to him and gave him blue jeans. I also thought he'd be cooler with a mustache. So he has a badly drawn mustache on his upper lip there. I also colored his collar in black, and I colored his helmet red, but that has worn off. So anyway, this guy has gone through some customization. And this all happened, like these figures came out in like the early 80s. I was probably like 4 or 5 years old when I got this guy. And I've held on to him all this time. As far as I knew, these guys didn't have any names. Like, they were just called Pilot, and so me and Doug named these guys Mark and Jason. And to be honest, I don't remember who had who. I just remember their names were Mark and Jason. And I was asking, I'd asked Doug about it, and he said that he thinks we might have taken those names from the cartoon Battle of the Planets. Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, he had a faint recollection because they had big visors on their helmet. And so when we got these guys, we might have lifted the names from that show. I don't know if we can verify that or not, but anyway. So anyway, we loved these guys, as stupid as they are. Anyway, I was in that shop called Rainbow Books and...
Rainbow's Edge...
Whatever.
And Book and Discs.
I found Jason, we'll call him, and he was there for $1, and I thought he was pristine, actually, when I saw him. I was like, this guy's only $1? Like, he looks great. And so now you can see him in his original all-yellow outfit. And I forgot he ever had this. He's got a little logo, like a white circle with a green cross. Like mine is long since rubbed off. But this guy's, it's still perfectly there. It's not chipped at all. His helmet is still pretty much all perfect white with the original green goggles there on it. And yeah, he looks great. So I couldn't believe it that they had him. I kind of wish they had both of them. I would have bought one for my brother because my brother's original figure is just as marred as mine is. And you might notice here how loosey-goosey this guy is. Like, his legs and his arms just swing around like crazy. This guy here, he's really tight. You can kick his legs out and they hold their pose and everything. So I was just super stoked to find this stupid little figure. Although, as I pointed out...
An alligator bit his hand off.
Yeah, when I was showing my brother there, like, I noticed his fingers were chewed off. I hadn't noticed that when I first bought him. So one of his hands is missing its fingers. So that's too bad.
What was his name in Happy Gilmore? Chubbs?
Yeah, Chubbs with the fake hand. Alligator. Yeah, he's kind of got a Chubbs-like hand.
Yeah.
But also, I did some additional research just like earlier today when I knew I was going to talk about this guy. And I found out these guys apparently did have names. They weren't Mark and Jason. They were Roger and Jesse. So, this guy apparently is Roger.
Okay.
And Doug had Jesse. So, there you go. My adventure people, I got a nice little upgrade from this old figure of mine.
I'm kind of partial to Jason now. Like, I think the mustache just...
But now...
does it, even though it was drawn on.
But now I can display them together and they can be brothers. Now it's Jason and Roger.
Yeah.
Twins.
Yeah, minus the mustache.
Well, twins can have mustache. One can have a mustache and one can't.
Well,
my brother...
Tomax and Zaymot.
My brother Brian and my sister Katie are twins. And Brian's got a mustache and Katie does not. Okay, so we've talked for a while. We're done talking about toys, I think.
Sure.
We could either do another episode, or do you want to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy just for kicks?
Yeah, let's do Guardians of the Galaxy super quick. So I saw it.
So spoiler alert. You can turn this off now. We're only going to talk about Guardians for the rest of the episode. So if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet, go see that. Then
it's also been like 2 weeks, so...
Yeah, I know, but still.
I know.
Okay. So you saw it?
So I saw it. It came out the Wednesday. I think I went on the Saturday that it came out.
Yeah,
Monday afternoon.
I didn't get to go until the Thursday after, because like a full week later, because I was in the Dominican when it came out. So I was like, I had to avoid spoilers. There's a certain websites that I go to like every day. And I'm like, I can't go to those websites. I was scared to even scroll on Facebook or Instagram because I might some idiot might post like a spoiler. But I managed to avoid all spoilers until I got to see it on Thursday.
What were your thoughts?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. One thing that was great about it is I was fully prepared for a character to die, or at least one. And the movie is very sad.
Yeah.
But none of our characters die. And that was like kind of a relief.
I thought it was going to be Rocket for sure.
Well, yeah, the trailer, like,
Let's fly together one last time. That wasn't even in the movie.
Yeah, but you see Rocket's on the hospital bed, and Chris Pratt's screaming, and then there's a scene where they're carrying Chris Pratt at the end. You're like, is he dead? He turned out to just be drunk. Yeah. Drax takes a couple of close calls in the movie, but he just shrugs those off. Groot gets his head chopped off. There's lots of places where you're like, this is where we're going to lose a character, because Groot died in the first movie, and Gamora died in the Endgame one, and even we had some sort of loss in the second one, didn't we?
Yeah. Jeez.
But anyway, it's just with this being the final one. And James Gunn already signing on. He's joining DC for the next 5 years. So it's not like they can talk him into make another one. Next this was going to be the end of his run. So I thought he would feel compelled to kill somebody.
Or maybe that's just an ingenious plan hatched by Marvel to send James Gunn over to DC to destroy the universe and then go back to Marvel. I don't know.
Well,
I have thoughts.
I'm hopeful that he does good stuff over at DC. I'm pretty confident that he will. Yeah. But at the same time, he was doing great stuff at Marvel, so I'm sad to see him go. And I was surprised at the end. We're just jumping right to the tag at the end said Star-Lord will return. Yeah. So I didn't expect that.
The legendary Star-Lord will return.
Yeah. So it's okay. I thought if anybody would be ready to move on, it might be Chris Pratt, just because he's become one of the biggest stars in Hollywood with Jurassic Park and Mario and all this stuff. So, if he's willing to keep playing the character, awesome. I could have seen them going on with, because the other tag was the new team. Yeah. So I thought, well, maybe they'll try and do a movie with the new team, and that's where we'll go from here. So I was really surprised at the end when they said, oh, and Star-Lord's coming back too. So I was okay, cool. I'll take both.
I loved it. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And was it my favorite of the three? I don't know. I still think number one holds that spot, so I would rank it 1, 3, 2.
Yeah, me too. And I think probably most people would. Number one,
it was just different. It was
so new and different, and it had to do a lot of the heavy lifting to introduce all these characters and all their backstories, and it balanced it so well. So it's almost it seems everybody thinks Empire is better than Star Wars, but it's kind of hard because Star Wars did all the heavy lifting so that you could just jump in and enjoy Empire without all the setup. So it's almost like comparing apples to oranges. So that's the thing. This is the third movie. We already know the characters through basically 4 or 5 other movies because they were in Thor, Love and Thunder. They were in the 2 Avengers. So, it didn't have to do all that setup. So, I almost think you can't even compare it really to the first one, but
I think Drax was great in this one. He had a lot of good one-liners and a lot of comedic relief. I mean, I know he does in most of the movies, but it was more pointed this time. I think they hit the mark.
I went and saw it with my wife, and she loves Drax. Yeah. You'd think she might like Rocket Raccoon or something, but no, it's Drax that she loves. And whenever he does his little one-liners like this one, it was Mantis, you asshole. Yeah. She was just in stitches. Yeah. So she loved Drax. I enjoy Drax too.
We'll kill one person. Someone nobody loves. Yeah. Loser.
Everything, it's all good. Whenever he talks, it's funny. So he was great. Everybody was great.
Now, my eyes might have got a little misty in some parts, just because there was a lot of...
Oh yeah. There
was a lot of sad stuff, the animal cruelty in it, and when you got introduced to Rocket's friends, I was like, oh, this is not going to end well, right off the bat. Yeah. My favorite of the friends was definitely Teefs. Yeah. Reminds me of me. Except I don't have a wheelchair as part of my body. It was I wouldn't even say it's a wheelchair. It was a platform with 2 wheels on it.
He had wheels for legs, essentially.
Yeah, but he was super funny and...
Yep. They were cute. It was sad because it was kind of inevitable that... I thought they might make it because, in the original Rocket Raccoon comic book from, the 80s, the whole cast of characters were all those animals. Animals with, cybernetics and stuff. So I kind of thought maybe he would escape and he wouldn't be able to... He planned to rescue them with his, gate card, but maybe it wouldn't open, and the guards would come in, and he'd have to leave them and say, I'll come back for you. And then he thought he'd never find them again, and then I kind of thought they would maybe show up at the end, and that would be the happy ending for him, to see his friends again. But nope. They all got killed, and he never got reunited with them. So yeah, that was pretty sad.
And when Peter went back and saw his grandfather, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I said, where have you been all this time?
Yeah, there's a lot of little tugging at the heartstrings there. Yeah. What did you think of the High Evolutionary as a villain?
I thought he was kind of flat. Like, I don't know. I think I enjoyed Nathan Fillion's guys a little more as bad guys. Like,
he was funny, but those the suits were stupid.
The suits were definitely stupid.
It kind of reminds you ever seen the original Dune?
Yeah.
And the fat guy, and he floats around in the big.
Yeah,
that's what they look like. And I know they were supposed to look silly.
Oh, Papa Rakonnen.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. The suits were silly. I thought he was funny, Nathan Fillion, but yeah,
I don't know. And I thought, what's his name? Adam
Warlock.
Warlock was going to be the main villain because it started out that way. And then,
well, I kind of get the impression that because they teased him at the end of the second one.
Yeah.
They kind of had to put him in here now. Like, he didn't really feel like he fit in there. He did feel a little tagged on because you could have done the movie just fine without him. However, I am glad that they got him in there. And I did like what they did with him because I've never been a huge Adam Warlock fan. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they kind of made him a little... Because, I know, he's a character that seems to take himself way too seriously. There's no sense of humor there about him or anything. He's kind of super powerful. So I would much rather read a cosmic story about Silver Surfer or somebody who's more interesting than Adam Warlock. But here, I found they kind of gave Adam Warlock his own thing. The fact that he's kind of a juvenile and kind of a douchebag and everything, and kind of clumsy and everything.
And his mom, what was that about?
Well, that's got some basis in the comic books, too. And, she was a carryover from the second movie and all that stuff. I'm glad that they kind of got rid of her. We don't really need her anymore. But yeah, for the High Evolutionary, I liked him. I thought, he was kind of a one-trick pony. He didn't have a huge, elaborate backstory that you could relate to or anything, but I totally understood what he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. He was and why he was trying to do it. He was clearly an evil guy, and I thought the actor that played him was he was well done. Although where he has two distinct looks in the movie, kind of the look from the flashbacks where he's more human, and then
the look with the mask.
Modern look where he's got a mask. And I just kind of wish, as somebody that's a fan of the comic books and a fan of the High Evolutionary from the comic books, who wears an all purple mask, it's kind of like Destro. He's got a metal face. I kind of would have rather that. Now, I get that the actor couldn't emote the same and everything. But, if the big reveal was at the end when they tore his, mask off and his face was all scarred from Rocket Raccoon clawing him up, I kind of wish that in the future, the modern scenes, he had, a metal face on, and then they knocked that off, and you showed, oh, this is why he wears a metal face now instead of the human face he had before, because Rocket scratched it off. I just would have liked to see the look from the comic book. Even if it was, an end scene. I think he got blown up at the end, right?
Yeah.
But, if he had survived or something, maybe, just to, because he's floating in space and you could, put a mask on and help him survive the explosion or something. Just some little nod that, he might wear that. But we'll probably never see that character again. So.
My favorite dynamic in that movie was Cosmo and James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn. I forget his character's name.
Kraglin. That's one of the things we didn't get when we went to Marvel trivia. We went to a Marvel trivia night and they showed a picture of Kraglin and they're like, "What's this character's name?" And I was like, "Is it Krennic? No, that's from Star Wars Rogue One." I was like, "Oh, what is
James Gunn's brother."
But anyway, Kraglin. So yeah, him and the dog were good.
It's just you're a bad dog. Take it back. I am not a bad dog. And it was so funny. Just
I did walk away from the movie wanting to buy the toys.
Yeah.
I don't usually buy MCU
toys.
Figures. I prefer the comic versions. But the new Guardians of the Galaxy toys are based on the movie, and they're all wearing the consistent uniform, which is from the comic books. And even all the Guardians figures I have now are all MCU ones. Like, I don't have a comic Drax. I have an MCU Drax. I have an MCU Star-Lord, MCU Gamora, Nebula, Mantis. So that's because they haven't made those characters in the comic versions. And I really don't want to buy a second MCU version, but I really do like... The figures all look really nice in those consistent costumes.
The Cosmo one.
Yeah, and I would get the Build-A-Figure Cosmo if I bought those.
Yeah.
And I'm very unlikely to get a Cosmo figure any other way. Like, it's not like they're going to release a comic version of Cosmo, or... What I wish they had done is just packaged Cosmo and Rocket together. Yeah. That would make more sense.
Deluxe pack or something.
Yeah.
Or what is that, premium?
No, it's just Rocket's just a small character. You know, he's only the size of a half of another figure, but he's still the $35 to $40, and you get like Cosmo's leg. Where I feel like you should, because same as with like when they do Ewoks and stuff in the Star Wars Black Series, they should put 2 Ewoks together or 2 R2s together. You know, to sell you an R2 figure this big
for $45.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I kind of wish with Rocket they had given him maybe a Build-A-Figure piece and something else, like that little dog. The alien dog creature.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever he was called. Like, they could have stuck him in the package with Rocket Raccoon as well as the Build-A-Figure piece or something to give you a little more bang for your buck. But, yeah, if I want to get the Build-A-Figure Cosmo, I'd have to buy all the Guardians plus Warlock. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to drop like $150 on this whole line, but I'm tempted. I'm tempted.
They're really nice.
They are. All right. Well, we probably went longer than I wanted to, so
about an hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah, so I'll try and edit
there's cutout time too.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we wrap this up?
Sure.
All right. So thank you for watching.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
And leave us lots of comments. We enjoy interacting with you guys. I don't really have anything else to say. You?
Nah, not really. So, okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Ciao.
Keep collecting.